the national debut of Memoirs of a Homeless Healer, authored by Detroit's own Versandra Kennebrew. This is a celebration of those of us who have overcome adversity, including homelessness, and triumphed in the face of all adversity. So what I'd like to see, ladies and gentlemen, is if everyone could please take their right hand and embrace your left shoulder, and take your left hand and embrace your right shoulder, and give yourself a nice big hug. You are loved, and Versandra, myself, and all the people here who love her give you an applause for coming and believing. Thank you so much. Now, this is a perfect time for our first affirmation. Those of you who have already read this amazing book know that Versandra has affirmations for us all through, because somehow she knew we'd kind of start to falter. So one of her first affirmations goes like this. I'm going to say it first, and then you guys repeat after me, okay? 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 It goes, I can be healthy, wealthy, and generous. Excellent, excellent.
I am the board president of COTS, and as you know, COTS is going to be a beneficiary of the books that Versandra sells. And I just want to, I am so proud to represent COTS and have Versandra part of the COTS family, because we do great things. We are an instrument of change. And I'd like to tell you a little story of how I got involved with COTS. And I've been involved in COTS for about 12 years in various capacities. I used to take the bus downtown. I worked downtown, and we'd get panhandled. You know, homeless people come by all the time, and I knew enough not to give them anything, but it used to really bother me. And I remember and I said, I've got to do something about this. There wasn't anything specific that came to mind right away. And there was one day, and it was probably fall, and it was pouring rain. And one of the guys, who normally comes around, and you sort of recognize them after a while, was dripping wet. He was just like, looked totally miserable. And I was standing there with my little umbrella waiting for the bus. And the bus came. And, I was feeling so bad for him, because he looked worse than he ever did, all the times he was there before. And I stepped on the bus, and I handed him my umbrella. And I said, would you like this? And he looks at me, and he says, what difference would it make? And something about the look in his eyes said, well, I got to do something now. I've been thinking about this. I want to make a difference. And, it's one of those lucky things, faith or whatever you may call it. A month or so later, our church group hosted a luncheon at COTS. And I said, this is it. This is it, following this episode with this homeless guy. And, I've been hooked ever since. And if you ever at COTS, it's at Peterborough, just east of Woodward. It's a fantastic place. Now, it wasn't the facility that Versandra was at, but it was an emergency shelter. We shelter people for about up to 3 or 4 months at that facility. But what we do, which is different from other homeless shelters, is we give the people who come through the doors tools for change, so they can take charge of their lives. And everyone's got issues. And clearly people who have been homeless have their share of issues. So we assign them a caseworker who identifies what those issues are and sort of guides them through their journey to success. So that's the facility at Peterborough. We also have Peggy's Place, which Versandra may have talked about or will talk about, and that's where she visited with us. And that's for women with children, and it's an extended care. So it takes about 2 or 3 years. And again, these women need shelter for them and their kids. So we provide them with whatever they need to be able to go out, get an education, get whatever they need to straighten their lives out. while we make sure the kids are taken care of, which is the #1 priority there. So we give them training, budgeting, teach them life skills that they need, that we may have had the benefit of that they didn't. So and we've got a couple of those facilities. And in probably about a year and a half ago, we said that's a natural cycle. You know, we take care of their immediate needs. We give them the skills, which takes a little longer. But some people will always need permanent support. And we call it permanent supportive housing. So these people are maybe, have issues that will prop up periodically. They need someone, again, a caseworker who periodically, checks with them or are available on call to take care of their needs so they don't drop back off into whatever the issues were that had caused their homelessness. So this permanent supportive shelter is called Burst Myers. Am I taking too long? It's called Burst Myers Manor, and it's at Wyoming and Joy. And it's a series of apartments. We have a mix of people. So we have people who didn't come through COTS, but there are some COTS people have gone through the COTS program. They've got a home that's theirs. They pay as much as they can afford. We make sure that they stay employed, and can be productive citizens. So that's the story of COTS. But the story of COTS and the reason why the staff and the board and everyone involved in it stays with them. And we've got, thousands and thousands of people give $5, $2 a year, whatever they take. It's because of success stories like Versandra. It just makes me feel so proud and so thankful that one time when I was like really, really inspired this one man, and I should go back and see what's happened to him, but, has resulted in my being involved in such a great organization. So give COTS and Versandra a big round of applause.
Greetings, beloved. As we celebrate with joy and gratitude all that is good, let us just take a moment and center our attention in our hearts in a feeling of love and of peace and of a deep sense of gratitude for all that is good, for all that is joyful, for all that we've overcome, and for all that is to yet unfold as our destiny. And in this heart space of gratitude, we bow our consciousness in the presence of you, O holy, divine, great, and powerful one. You who created the heavens and the earth and is the creator and sustainer of life itself. With a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this celebration. We thank you for that earth angel that we know as Versandra Kennebrew, and for all of the lives that she has touched and that she is touching. We thank you, O God, for her mission as she goes across the country trying to eliminate touch deprivation and help people know the value of the healing power of touch across our world and across our nation. And speaking of our nation, we're so grateful in our nation on this day for the victory that took place just earlier this week. On Tuesday, hope won. And we're so grateful that we are moving into a space within this societal context where we're rising out of the ashes of yesterday and ascending into the heights of heavens of a new consciousness and of a new awareness. And for that we give great thanks, and we have a deep sense of gratitude for the new direction that our country is going in and the new direction which is unfolding in our world. And yet we also give great thanks and have a deep sense of gratitude for the Coalition on Temporary Shelter, for all of those who are touched and blessed by their work, for all of those who have had a warm place to stay at night when circumstances and situations found them on the street. We thank you, O God, for the opportunity to overcome even the most difficult of trials and of situations such as those who have been served by COTS. And we thank you, O God, for the strength, the intestinal fortitude, and the knowledge and the awareness that you are with us going through everything that we're going through. And by your strength and by your power, in spite of our circumstances and our situations, we are overcomers. We are victors. We are strong and powerful as a result of the power that you share with us so lovingly and so graciously. And so as we close this prayer, we lift our gratitude up into the ethers, knowing that as the praises go up, the blessings come down. And we thank you so much for all of the blessings that you have so freely showered upon us every day of our lives. We dedicate our hearts and minds to you that we might see not merely the trials, but that we might see the testimony in advance that we're being set up for. So we thank you for all of these gifts of your divine love. And we affirm it is done, it is done, it is done.
We are celebrating adversity. We are celebrating overcoming today. And I too have a story that inspired me to write a book of poetry. In 2006, I lost my job. I lost my house. I called off a wedding, all in the same year. And before all of this occurred, I was just such the optimist. I was so friendly. I was so bubbly. But when this storm just came across my life, it just changed my whole personality. I became a pessimist. I became negative. But I didn't know it. Until one day, I had an epiphany. And I saw myself. And this is what inspired me to write this poem called My Epiphany. It just got to the point where I couldn't help but see that there was something wrong with me. Before now, I was in so much denial that I would put everyone else on trial. I'd say, she has a problem, and so does he. And the whole world is taking things out on me. I would live my life day after day, disregarding what others would try to say about me and my problem. To me, the ones who tried to give me a hand were only more people that didn't even understand. I didn't know that their criticism was out of care and concern. So when they stretched out to reach me, they would just get burned. Burned by the fire that consumed me. Burned by my problem that I couldn't see. I was full of so much stress and strife that they would cut me off just to save their own life. But I didn't get it because I didn't know. So I let a lot of valuable people go. And when they would walk away, I would just say, bye, not knowing that my problem was the reason why. And as my problem grew taller, my circles were more smaller, until it got to the point where I couldn't help but see that there was something wrong with me. And it was really a close call because I began to think that I didn't need people at all. Until I reached a place on my journey of success where I have to either turn around or face my mess. Face my problem that everyone was talking about. My problem that I could no longer doubt. A problem that when I finally saw it, I was in so much awe of it. It was hideous. It was huge. It had such a magnitude, I just knew it was affecting my attitude. It was painful to see it. It hurt even more to be it. Immediately I said, it's no wonder why the people don't call. It's no wonder why I started to fall. I went from mad to sad. From sad to glad. When I thought about the relationships that I had, I thought about the people that walked away and how their absence contributed to my epiphany today. And if I saw them again, all I would say is, thank you. Thank you for showing me that people deserve more. And I don't blame you for walking out of the door. And for the few people that didn't give up, I know it was rough. You've had more than enough. But your love saved my life. You saved the day. You inspired me to improve my way. And as my hopes and dreams come true, it will be an honor to share them with you. Still, I am faced with the reality that identifying my problem is just part of the strategy. But half of my battle is already won. And I know that I will overcome, because it got to the point where I couldn't help but see that there was something wrong with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Opportunity basically is just saying that you're not going to be closed-minded. Closed-mindedness keeps you from growth. Anybody agree with me on that? That's what I'm talking about. In that particular chapter, when I talked about being open for opportunity, I talked about meeting Les Brown for the first time. Well, actually, it was the second time. The first time was many years ago. But the second time as a speaker, the first time I met him, I had no clue what he did for a living. And what that meeting with Les Brown did for me, it helped me to realize that sometimes we think the reasons why we can't do things, and, you know, my reason at the time was I'm broke. I don't have any money. You gave me an extensive invitation to be your special guest at a presentation, and I'm talking about how broke I am. That thought, that mindset, almost kept me from going to Chicago and meeting some of the most fabulous people I've ever met in my life. And I'm talking about gifted people. Now, I guess you guys see already from my friends that have been here and doing presentations that I surround myself with gifted and loving and caring people, right? Yeah. That's right. And I'm glad that means that that's the reason why you're here as well, because you're one of those gifted and loving and precious people. So that's what we want to do, is make sure we're open. Just make sure that we don't close our minds to the great things that could be available to us. I guess you guys can probably say that homelessness is an issue in Detroit. Would you agree? Yes. Now, homelessness, in the face of homelessness, is not what we would typically see on television. I guess I'll be the perfect example to that. I have people that say, I never knew you were homeless. There's no way that you're doing all the things that you are doing in the community from a place of homelessness. And I have to tell them, yes, I started my business and basically moved into homelessness about 3 months later. So yes, I look like a businesswoman, and at that time I was a homeless businesswoman looking woman. And although I'm doing very well right now, and it's nothing like what it was at that time, but the face of homelessness is nothing like what you can just see on television. So don't pass judgment. Don't try to say, oh my God, that person looks like something's wrong with them, so I'm not going to help them. Or that person looks like they don't need anything, so I'm not going to be of assistance to them. You don't want to do that, because that basically what you're doing is passing judgment. You don't know what's going on with that person and in their life. The bottom line is, if you love yourself, then you can give unconditional love to everyone that you come in contact with, and that includes people that have an appearance that might look a little bit different than yours.
What I found to be very interesting, and when I first met Versandra, I had a studio over at 4731, and she had her business over at Northwest Activity Center, and they were doing work over there, so she had to move her business, and she moved it over into the facility, the building where I had my studio. And we developed a relationship, a friendship. And she turned me on to some tapes by, it's called A Millionaire Mind. Has anyone ever heard of that before? Millionaire Mind? Well, I had never heard of it, and I found it to be very interesting. More importantly, the part where it speaks on that mental conversation that we be having about what we can't do, you know. Oftentimes what we do is we program ourselves to not believe in ourselves. And it's not just something we do personally. A lot of times it's the environment, the culture that we find ourselves in. And sometimes what you have to do is you got to break out of that. Anything that makes you stop. That's what Versandra represents to me. I don't care what the situation. Just like she says, she can be without a car. She's going to get there, okay? It can be in Chicago. It can be in New Jersey. It can be wherever it is. If Versandra says she's going, okay? It's interesting because when I first met her, you know, I used to, what is it that makes her, you know, because she's just full of all these ideas, and, you know, she looks at things logically. She lays out, she lays out how she wants to get it done and all that kind of stuff. And I just said, you know, this is just, it was amazing to me what she can do with so little, okay? And so I can say is that she is a testament that, you know, believing in yourself. And I guess everybody else can also see the hope sweatshirt that I have on Barack Obama. And he said, yes, we can. And a lot of people, and I was involved in the campaign like before, you know, when he was still dealing with Hillary and everything. A lot of people didn't believe that he could, okay? I mean, it took a whole lot for people to really begin to see the possibilities of what Barack Obama could do, because after all, nobody knew him. You know, he had just, you know, kind of come on the scene, had only been a senator for 2 years, had done some community work, yet he believed that he could be president of the United States, right? And what do we have today? We have Barack Obama as the president-elect of the United States, all right? So, with that in mind, I would suggest that, first of all, Versandra's book is a book about overcoming, overcoming adversity, actually being courageous. Because, see, the human spirit is a courageous spirit. We are courageous. It ain't nothing that we can be put up against that we cannot overcome. So imagine if you go ahead and set some goals of some things that you want to accomplish and take steps towards those goals. I guarantee you there's nothing that you can't overcome. All right, that's about all I want to say. And once again, I'd like to congratulate Versandra on her completion of the book, because once again, she put her mind to it, and she said she's going to get it done, and I'm telling you, she worked on it constantly worked on it until she got it done. And if anybody would, would like to believe that for some reason it's something that you can't do because somebody told you can't do it, get rid of that mindset. Just throw it away. It's untrue. Okay, you can do anything, and believe that you can do anything that you want to do. In fact, yes, you can.
But let me speak to the chapter in Versandra's book about the value of surrounding yourself with love and beauty as one of your strategies for overcoming. Kia spoke to many of the points that underscore that principle, and it is so important. If you think about it, the human spirit just naturally has within it a dimension of creativity, a dimension that appreciates beauty, a dimension that just resonates in the presence of positive, loving energy. And so many times we allow the circumstances of life, or we allow the attitudes of other people, of negative people around us, to squash that and to quiet it. And we find ourselves responding to another part of the human spirit that is more negative. When we look at so many of our children, our young people, when we read so many of the headlines, what we see are expressions of emotion, because we all have a desire to express ourselves, but what we see are just example after example of people who choose to express themselves in a negative way. And I don't claim to be a formal psychologist or sociologist, but I just have to believe that there is a parallel between the time that arts programs were taken out of our schools and out of our lives and out of a conscious part of so much of the learning environments for our young people. I've just got to believe that there is a parallel between the time that those things began to decline and the increase in negative incidents that we read about every day. Because we are not nurturing that creative expression that is inherent in each of us. And so places like the DIA, places like the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, places like a beautiful park, the Riverwalk area, Belle Isle in the summertime, places like many of the art studios that many of you are no doubt associated with, places like the beauty of our homes and the homes of family members and people who love us, are places that nurture and inspire the positive creative energy in each of us. And so, I'm mindful, students of the scripture might remember the verse that talks about how the heavens declare the glory of God. There's something just inherent in us, in the way that we have been created, that responds and resonates to beauty, to majesty, to power. And a key strategy for adjusting our attitudes, for positioning ourselves for future success, a key strategy for reminding ourselves of who we are, is absolutely this principle that Versandra points to: surrounding yourself with love and beauty. And so I say that to encourage each of you to take a step for yourselves, to take steps with your children, with your family members, to make environments of love and beauty, an active and conscious part of the places that you spend time. Make activities such as being selfish, the activities that you can enjoy at the DIA, or being generous, the activities that are part of this great institution, the Museum of African American History. Experience those things together. Take the steps to nurture and inspire that positive, creative energy, and watch the opportunities. Watch yourself become more aware and more positioned to respond to the opportunities that undoubtedly abound around each of you. Congratulations again, Versandra, and best wishes to each of you.